Hello, today I thought it might be instructive to give you a day in the life of a self-employed English teacher in Japan. Not just any self-employed English teacher in Japan, me. This was yesterday, and it's a fairly typical day. If anything, it was a slightly easier day than usual. So yesterday, let's see, I woke up about 7:30, 8 o'clock. And first job was to give a lift to my daughter, my eldest daughter. She's teaching English too at another school. Anyway, so I dropped her off and got back home about 8:30 a.m. yesterday. Then I had breakfast with the missus and the mother-in-law. They had rice and various things that grow under rocks in mountains. And I had an English muffin with fried egg and 2 pieces of cheese. I'm aware that they will outlive me. I can't think why. But anyway, yeah, so then my first proper class was 11 a.m. And that was my oldest student, a lady. And she used to live in England. So it's quite a fun class because her English is pretty high level. So we chatted. Actually, what was the topic? We did poetry. One of my lessons in one of my books, I don't have many that are about poetry, and I thought, I should have something about poetry. So we dissected a Robert Frost poem, a short poem. It wasn't a very good poem, but it was short and easy to talk about. So we talked about the nature of poetry and why some people like it and why it's not popular anymore, and why rap music is a kind of poetry, and the music of language, stuff like that. That may sound quite highbrow, but it was just a sort of a chatty lesson. Very nice, pleasant. So that was a 45-minute lesson. Then made lunch. I've invented a very simple quick food. Shall I tell you? I call it saba bien. Saba is horse mackerel, and it comes in tins, and you can get it for about 100 yen. Okay, so the ingredients are 2 tins of saba, 1 tin of tomatoes, an onion, garlic, and some noodles, whatever noodles you've got, whatever pasta or spaghetti or anything you've got in the kitchen. Chop up the onion, chop up the garlic, fry it, throw in the can of tomatoes, and the 2 cans of fish. Mix it all together, add some herbs to your delectation and delight. I put a bit of basil or whatever we had. I think we just had a bit of thyme. Simmer for as long as it takes. Oh yeah, then put the 50 grams of pasta per person. I made for 1, 2, 3 people. And you simmer it. Add a bit of red wine if you've got some lying around. And you simmer it for however long it takes to cook the pasta, 10 minutes, whatever. And it's surprisingly delicious, trust me, and good for you. Sprinkle a bit of cheese on top. And that was my lunch, and as it happened, my dinner as well. And there's a little bit left over for other people in the family to have as a snack. Anyway, so I cooked that, and then went off, had my lunch, then went off and had another lesson with an older person. This was face-to-face. She's a retired person, and we were talking about no smoking. The French have banned smoking in public, apart from in cafes, which is weird. So we talked about cigarettes, and what came out of that discussion actually was quite interesting. She was talking about her father. Now, she's an older lady, and her father died when he was 58 of lung cancer. That's not so amazing, so interesting, but she was talking about what he did, and I said, well, wait a minute, so he must have been alive during the Second World War. And she said, yeah, he was a radio operator, or the sonar, not sonar, radio, beep, 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 in the Morse code, in the Japanese Navy during the Second World War. And his ship was sunk, and he was taken prisoner. Or was his ship sunk? I'm not sure, but anyway, he was taken prisoner by the Americans. One of his jobs was to bring ashore dead bodies from other from other shipwrecks and stuff, and so he'd have to. His job as a prisoner was to wade out into the beach and drag dead Americans onto the beach for burial, and very frequently the bodies would have rotted in the sea, and he'd crush them with his hands. And wow, pretty intense stuff, but very interesting to me as a bit of oral history. So that's one generation away, that experience with the war. So fascinating for me to talk about that. Okay, then I had so that was an hour's lesson. Then I had a 50-minute break until the afternoon lessons. In the afternoon, we had 3 little kids, kindergarten age, year 3, so they're age 5 or 6 years old. Boy, they're little dynamos, and we had a double lesson with them, so they were with us for like an hour and a half. Fortunately, I had my assistant, my new employee, who came in for the afternoons to help teach the little kids. Just as well, they're full of beans. Wow. So talking about the older generation, and then suddenly to the youngest, jumping off tables and going crazy. And anyway, I managed to get some kind of a lesson going. Exhausting. And then the next lesson of the afternoon was year 4's elementary school. We were doing past tense. So I was doing irregular past tense. I go, I went. Go, went, take, took, eat, ate, drink, drank, all that kind of stuff. But just as sort of games, and a little bit of writing, and then lots of playing games. That was quite pleasant. Then I had my dinner. Then it was another online class, a one-to-one with a year 6 girl who was just coming back from the shopping mall. She was in the back of a car. Her mum was driving, so I had a lesson like this in the car, and then she ran up to her bedroom, and we managed to do a bit of work on her speech, talking about her memories of primary school, elementary school. But that was kind of fun, so I could do that from my classroom while she was running around in a car. Then it was a face-to-face lesson with junior high school year 3s, so they're coming to the end of their junior high school year, so they're 14 and 15 years old. And we talked about 10 tips for traveling. Always have copies of your passport numbers, where to hide your money if you go abroad. So a little bit of a reading exercise and talking and a comprehension, but it was about a fun topic. And we played a word game. Lexicon is a bit like Scrabble, but a bit easier. That was fun, and they're quite talkative, so that was good. And then the final lesson of the day was another online. This was a junior high school year 2 kid, and we talked about her trip to London with my school, Tower English, and we made a past tense speech about that, just in a 20-minute online lesson. That was a day in my life. And then I came home. Between then I also had my dinner. I had a bento box with my sababia. What did I do last night when I came home? Sat around with the missus and drank a glass of wine. Fell asleep on the sofa. My youngest daughter was visiting from university, and she videoed me snoring. Thank you. I finished reading a book. I finished reading a man called The Pyramids. Really good. If you like Swedish noir, he was the forerunner before he did like police procedurals, but with a kind of moody, slightly depressed, middle-aged kind of funk. Was it the girl with the dragon tattoo? That came after. That was not him. That was another guy. But that was the more salacious, more exciting version. This is the more slightly dull, not dull, but moody, realistic police procedural. Anyway, I enjoyed that. Maybe that's why I was snoring. And then to bed. That was a day in the life of a self-employed English teacher in Japan. if you want that kind of a life, start doing your own thing. If you don't want this kind of a life, I don't blame you. Yeah, but yeah, it's nice. And today is not an easy day, it's a busy day, but then I've got the weekend. So that's it. Okay, talk to you next week. I hope you have a good, productive, or relaxing week, whichever you prefer. Stay out of the heat. Okay, cheerio.